Hello and welcome to GameRules.com. My name is Mark, and today I'm going to teach you how to play a little hand-shedding card game for 2 to 4 players called King's Corner. Let's dive in and learn how to play. To play King's Corner, all you need is a standard 52 card deck. You can play with jokers, and I'll talk about that here at the end of the tutorial. To set up the game, determine a dealer. They shuffle the deck and deal 7 cards to each player. The rest of the cards are then placed face down in the center of the table. This will be called the stock. Then, from the stock, you will deal 4 cards face up around the top, bottom, left, and right of the stock pile. These 4 cards start your foundations. And to win the game, you are trying to be the first player to get rid of all the cards from your hand. To do that, you are going to play them to the foundations out on the table. And they're just going to play just like Klondike Solitaire. Cards can be played in descending order, alternating by color. So for example, on this red 10, the next card you could play on top of it would be a black 9. A black jack on top of the red queen, a red 8 on top of the black 9, and the ace here is actually a tricky start because you cannot put anything on top of the ace. Aside from playing cards from your hand, you are also able to move cards that are out on the table. So you're able to pick up an entire pile and move it. For example, we could pick up this 9 and play it on this 10. And if there were cards on top of this 9, like 8, 7, 6, 5, so on, you'd be able to pick up the entire pile and put it on top of the 10. You cannot pick up part of a pile. So if there was if this came red 8, black 7, and I needed the black 7, I wouldn't be able to pick up from the black 7 on and move it. You have to pick up the entire pile. As the game continues, kings will be revealed. Kings, when played, are placed in the corner of the layout, hence the name King's Corner. The rules apply for them as well. You will play cards in a descending order, alternating by color. For example, this red queen could be moved over here on the king. Kings are the only cards that can start a foundation in the corner. Those are the basics for gameplay. Let's dive into our first player's turn. The player seated left of the dealer goes first. On your turn, you will begin by drawing a card. After you draw, you are allowed to make as many legal moves as possible, as I just described. So for this player here, they could play the red king in the corner, and then they could move the 9 over here on top of the 10. And then they could play this black jack on top of the queen. And then we can pick up this entire pile here and move it on top of the jack. It's best to show the bottom card, and you'll save space by keeping the pile condensed. So as long as you can see that bottom card, you see what you need to in order to move piles around. So now we have 1, 2 open spaces that this player is able to work with. They do not have a red 8, so they can't keep that pile going, but they can start another pile. It's usually best to get rid of your high cards as soon as possible. Oh, look at that. They can play it on the king. So yeah, they're going to go ahead and start a pile with their 10, and then they're going to start another pile with the red 7 and the black 6. Now that was a pretty good first turn. Once you no longer have any moves that you can make, your turn ends and play passes. If you ever begin your turn by drawing a card, and then you have nothing that can be played, your turn is over and you pass. It is possible for a game to get blocked, meaning nobody has any cards that can be played. That is a special win condition, and we'll talk about that when we get to keeping score for the round. For now, let's have player 2 take their turn. Player 2 has a bit of a tough starting hand because they have so many low cards. They do have a red 9, though, that they can put over here on this black 10. And that is, unfortunately, all they can do. They don't have a red 5. But once they're able to play a black 5, they're going to be able to get rid of some more cards. So that ends their turn, and player 3 now goes. They draw. They do have a king, so they're going to go ahead and throw that out. And one thing to keep in mind is you do not have to play cards. In fact, one strategy to the game is to try to block other players. And you do that by holding certain cards in your hand or playing cards out on the layout that you know is going to pose over one of your opponents. So we need a red 8 or a black 8 or a red 5. And we do have a black 8 right here. Do they have any queens? Nope. We need a red jack or a red queen, and they don't have anything like that. So that ends their turn. So then play passes to the next player, and they drew a black ace. Now that, unfortunately, is going to be pretty tricky to get rid of. We do have a red 7 here, and that ends their turn. Player 2 now goes. They do have a black 6, but they do not have a red 5. So things are getting tricky here. As soon as a red jack is played on this queen, we'll be able to move this whole pile. But yes, that does indeed end their turn. Now player 3's turn again. Black queen is no good. But they've noticed a move that players have been missing. This red queen can get picked up and placed right here. Should have spotted that sooner. And this player is going to go ahead. See, they could be ridiculous and put the ace out right here. But that's not going to really benefit anybody. So they will focus on getting rid of as many cards as possible. And they're going to go ahead and start this pile with a 10. And put the red 9 on there. And that ends their turn. And our player here at the bottom of the screen goes again. Let's go ahead and fast forward to see the end of the round. And here we're about to see the last turn of the game. So it's player 1's turn again. They go ahead and draw, and they get their red jack. So what they are able to do is play the red jack here. Then they can move this pile with the 10 on top, and they can empty their hand by playing their black ace. So the round comes to an end with the first player as the winner. Now, you can play a single round as a game and just say the person who empties their hand wins. But if you want to play multiple rounds, then you would say players earn penalty points for the number of cards left in their hand. So player 2 would earn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And player 3 would earn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 penalty points for the round. And then you continue to play rounds until one player reaches a score of 25. At that point, whoever has the lowest score wins the game. Now, if a game gets blocked, so let's say everybody had cards left and the game is no longer winnable, everybody takes turns and they're like, can't play, can't play, can't play. Game is blocked. Then it is whoever has the fewest cards that wins the round. So if you're playing a single round as a game, that person would be the winner. If you are keeping score, everybody earns penalty points for the cards they have left in their hand. Even though this player won the round, they still earn penalty points because they didn't empty their hand. As I mentioned earlier, you are able to throw some jokers in the deck. You can use these jokers as wilds that represent any number or suit needed. And you can even play where you have a red joker and a black joker, and they can only be used on as a red card or as a black card. But this will help speed the game along, and it'll help keep games from getting blocked. And that's how to play King's Corner. If you found this video helpful, the best thing you can do is subscribe, ring the bell, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment down below. All of those things really do help us out. If you have a game that you would like to see a tutorial for, or if you have any questions about this game, leave them down below, and I will do my best to answer them. I've got a playlist for you right here of more card games. There might be a couple playlists full of goodness for you. And as always, until next time, keep on playing.